Welcome to Circle Time with Josette and Caleb. Today we will be reading an original story. The Dry Season.
The Dry Season has been written and recorded by Josette and Caleb Anderson, all rights reserved.
I think I may have to move out of the country. Oh, the shame I've brought to my family's name. My face is scattered around cities and painted on alley walls. I had no idea such a small decision would lead so far. As I am driven through crowded streets, the heavily tinted windows hide my face from those I used to live among. I see Jed, my loyal friend. I learned everything I know from him. I'll miss his hairy neck, wet nose, and long, soft tongue. He should be in my place. We had never saw this coming, not ever, in our wildest imagination. It all began in the summer of 1964.
Jed and I were at our favorite nuclear plant, sharing a strawberry sundae. It was a day to die for. I knew this was the start of something good. We'd come up the hill behind my grandparents' house on most Sundays after we'd eaten lunch and talked about the same things we'd always talked about the week before. We'd walk up a long, gradual slope until we reached the plant. On this particular Sunday, there was a high-pitched squeal coming from the plant. Red and plaid clouds billowed up ahead. We walked closer and felt something. Something tickling at our brain.
I fell to the ground, clenching my fists in pain. The squeal grew louder, pulsing with intensity. It kept getting stronger and stronger. It got to the point where I couldn't take it any longer. Then it stopped. Silence. Then it all went dark. When I awoke, I was still in Kansas. However, Jed was gone. Gone! Blood ran down my nose and mingled with the dirt on my face. Standing up, I wiped the blood with my shirt sleeve as I looked across the vast expanse of grass. It seemed so peculiar. That goat left me. He left me here to nearly die. Oh, the rage built up inside me. I felt my hand shake, then some wet warmth trickled down my leg. Great. If my first day wasn't bad enough already. But when I looked down, I saw an oak tree start to grow where my nuclear urine had landed.
Frightened by such a strange happening, and infuriated by the absence of my goat, I ran. I ran as fast as I could. When I burst through the door, my grandfather was standing in the doorway.
I see you've gone and done it again,
He said, gesturing at the dark blotches in the front of my trousers.
I thought you had said it wasn't an issue anymore.
I blushed and pretended this was the first time this had happened since I had told him that. He stormed off as soon as Grandma had entered and scolded him for being so rude. 14 days had passed, and Grandpa didn't talk. On that 14th day, Grandma explained Grandpa's cold attitude.
The crops are dying and we might starve to death. He doesn't want to die.
That made so much sense. Then an idea came. If I can grow an oak tree, imagine what I can do to a field. Later that day, I went out to the garden. Grandma was terrible at keeping anything alive. Mama used to tell me that it was a wonder she had raised her and her 16 brothers. Grandma liked to pretend she had a garden, but once the soil was tilled and the seeds were planted, she would never touch a thing.
Nature will do its business. I've done more than my fair share,
She would say. As I stood in front of the garden, I chuckled at what Grandma would think of what I was about to try. It was only a test run, but I could feel the importance of what I was about to do.
Should I start with the periwinkles? That seemed logical. So I began.
No!
I hear. It's Grandma. Horrified, she pushes me away from the plant. A low rumble started. Soon we felt it in our feet. The whole ground was shaking. We looked up as the stems shot far above our heads. I zipped up my pants and tried to pretend that I was just as amazed as Grandma was, but the excitement was almost too much to bear.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt,
Grandma exclaimed while pushing her glasses up from their usual place on the tip of her nose.
you've been drinking more than Kool-Aid, haven't you?
I pretended I didn't hear her.
She never wanted me to go to that nuclear plant out of fear something bizarre might happen. But I did go, and something bizarre did happen, and she knew. I confessed and told her everything, and a tear began to form in the corner of her eye.
Honey, what will this do to your health? You know radiation often lingers around for a while. Could you take me to the plant where it happened?
I didn't like where this was going, but I agreed. When we got to the location, Grandma started to itch, and it wasn't long before she blacked out. I started carrying her back home, and 1 block from the farm, she sprung up and shouted,
Okay, let's save the farm! We took a drive to the grocery store and bought 16-gallon jugs of distilled water. As we sat on the couch watching Animal Planet, we guzzled 3 jugs each. Our bladders were full. Then we set out on our first mission. Grandma started on the east side with the potatoes, and I started on the west with the yams.
Grandpa strapped me to the bottom of his tractor using one of his old belts. This used to fit me, you know. I glanced back and forth from my grandfather to his belt and remember the days when my grandfather's stomach was the size of a small bathtub. Just let it flow. I was amazed by how much ground we covered in one sweep. Grandma and I just kept downing the water and spreading it over the field. By sundown, we had the place covered.
Now we wait,
said Grandma, exhausted from a hard day's work. We went off to sleep. At 1:03 a.m., we were all shaken awake by a loud rumble.
To the window we ran. What we saw was beyond our understanding.
Well, looky there,
Grandpap said.
The farm is saved!
We all hugged each other, and that night we got ice cream. The end.
This audio recording has been recorded, and for your listening pleasure, I'm British.